Hello, my name's Austin Samargo, and this video is for the questions, right? Is China communist? And what is a communist country? First of all, the first thing to say is that there's no such thing as a communist country, because the principle of communism is to have a stateless, cashless, and classless society. Where everybody contributes according to their ability, and all the individual needs of all the members are met. All the needs of the individual members are met. I think it's important to remember that communism is an ideal, a concept, a utopian society that we Marxists strive to reach. So we have successfully Marxists throughout history have theorized and practiced, socialism, the redistribution of wealth, by legislative policy. And how do you get that legislative policy? You have to have a workers' democracy. The workers have to be in charge of the government. So the thing is, China is not a communist country. This is just a thing that the CIA and all these government organizations try to push out this propaganda, and they say, oh, these are communist countries, but they're not communists. They themselves, they say they are socialists. You know what I'm saying? Because communism, there's a theory about primitive communism, before we had factories and all that, but really true communism in modern society, the utopia that we want to create here on earth, heaven on earth, that hasn't happened yet, you know so the purpose of constructing a socialist state is to consolidate proletariat power, the power of the workers. And so I'm gonna explain basically how it works. It won't be super detailed, because this is just to give you a basic understanding of it. But I'm gonna explain here, how it basically works, right? Okay, so back in the day, Marx and Engels themselves, they theorized. They say, hey, society. They studied history, and they showed how um, society is always a dictatorship of one class of people over another. Before we'd have emperors, kings, queens, feudalism, the lords and ladies who govern all the land, and this was the elite class dominating the rest of society, the common people. Today, we still have this, but it's just in a different form, because now the common people have civil liberties, but they don't have true economic freedom, and they're subjugated to have to work to these people, because society's moved in a direction, where we have these cities and we have all these people. They need the system to survive. When you're living in a city, you can't. It's not always doable to just grow your own food, and you gotta depend on the system of capitalism. So, um, it has been successfully pointed out that when the capitalists run society and control the government, as they do here in the United States and most European countries and most countries in the world, as a matter of fact, when these capitalists are given power to control our government and our politics and our economy, they're of course just gonna make it better for themselves, and they pass this legislative policy, they bribe the politicians, they call it lobbying, and they do all this. And so to fix that, we Marxists, Marx first, that's why it's called Marxism. There's a concept called the dictatorship of the proletariat, because right now we're in the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie are the capitalists, the ones who we have to work for, that most of society has to work for, and who control most of the wealth. And all these Congress candidates and all these people, they're all millionaires. They're all rich. You know, and they get that way from exploiting and taking the surplus value out of somebody else's labor. Just because they were blessed enough to own these things, now they can keep on using it, because the basic principle to point out is that the bourgeoisie, they can take their money and just keep on putting it back in investments, and these investments, because of the way the economic structure, socio-economic structure of capitalism is set up, these investments will keep on, they'll pay a worker just enough to survive, and the worker has to use that money, that little bit of money, to get their necessities, to get their food, their shelter, and all this, So the capitalist takes the rest of the value. Like, say you make $1,000 a day, your boss giving you $15, $20 an hour. They're taking all that money, and then they can use that to pay more workers. And these workers are what you call wage slaves. So communism is when the means of production, all the factories, all the things that make money, and make materials that we need in society, are all publicly owned, and it's voted on by the workers what we should do. And it's about improving the material conditions of the people. So this dictatorship of the proletariat is a concept that Marx and Engels originally talked about, and then Lenin actualized it. He carried the torch, and he that's why there's Marxism Leninism. Marxism is the study of the class nature of society, and the using dialectical and historical materialism to improve the conditions, of the common people and the workers. And Leninism is a science of revolution, how to use the power of the masses to take power and consolidate a state apparatus, a state structure that's controlled by the workers, not the capitalists who subject them. So it has been successfully theorized and shown to be pretty accurate that if a party of communists, that's why they call it a communist country, because the government is run by a one-party system. But that one party is the Workers' Party. It's the Communist Party. And the Communist Party strives to improve the lives of the workers, and consolidate proletariat power until capitalism is defeated worldwide. That's what China, Vietnam, Cuba, Laos, they're all on this mission. And they're all trying to hold this proletariat power, this working class power, so eventually the whole world, the workers all across the world, can be liberated. So let me describe basically how it works, right? There's a principle called democratic centralism. Democratic centralism is every issue, everything that the party discusses, they discuss, in length, and they debate all the points, and they let everybody speak, right? So when they do that, and everybody's had time to talk and say whatever, and they've done debated everything, then they make a vote, right? And whatever the vote, the majority votes, that's the party line and the official party policy from then on, and they continue that, until like the next Congress, or they come together. They have democracy just like here. It's just that it's a workers' democracy, and there's two types of people in the party, right? A majority of workers and a minority of intellectuals. The workers make up the majority of the party, so they have the voting power. And the intellectuals, they call them, that's a technical term, the intelligentsia, they're like the politicians and people people who are real high up in the party, and they spend all day studying the lives of the workers and keeping track of the lives of workers, and taking in ideas on how to improve them, and scientifically using social science, sociology, they think of how to improve the material conditions of the workers and how to protect the state, because the state is consolidating the workers' democracy and the workers' power. So these intellectuals, they mainly come up with the ideas, but it is a majority of workers. So whatever is debated and discussed, the workers debate too and give all their opinions, but the majority of these 5-year plans you hear about and these policies they pass as socialist nations, they do this, they present it to the masses, and the masses votes. 95% of the population of China supports the government, because literally like every sphere of jobs, everything is in the party. All different types of industry, they are connected to the party. And the party, there's a line said by Mao Zedong, it says, from the masses to the masses, You know, it's like making the government one big union. So I hope that's been a sufficient explanation. I'll put some links down below of some resources so you can better look this up if you want. And I got this book I wrote. You can comment or something if you want to buy it from me directly, or there's an Amazon link I'm gonna put down there too. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a good day or night or whatever it is.